What is going on, y'all? It's the Caveman. I'm back here with Football with Oz, Austin, for episode 19 of Against the Blitz. Almost a 20. Pretty crazy, if I do say so myself. But in episode 19 today, we're going to be running through our top 5 players at each positional group, but also planting our flag on an overrated, underrated, and someone that we deem as our guy, someone that we have come to like personally as well. So this should be fun. There are some guys that I have definitely gotten personally attached to, not as much as others, but I'm sure you have your fair share of names that you've definitely come to love over these last few months.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the ones I've come to love that were like my guys are now seen as like mid first round picks. Like, so I'm having to almost create new guys because those guys have like I've done my job. They've blown up, not because of me, but
Yeah.
they're seeing the same thing I'm seeing. So I try to be like I try to get more into the weeds. If I just tell everybody that my favorite player is the consensus number one, then that's kind of boring and I look stupid. So I try to actually do a little bit more homework than that. So this should be exciting.
Yeah, the good news is someone like me who does all the research crammed in the last month and a half at best, I don't have that issue. So I get to just take it for what it is right now. So we will start with quarterback. The way this will be structured, pretty simple. We'll start by listing our top 5, and it will go kind of without explanation unless there's something that needs to be explained. And then we'll kind of get into the meat and potatoes of the over, under, and my guy categories. So quarterback, I will take the lead on this one, and we can go back and forth. So number 1 is Cam Ward. Number 2 is Shedeur. Number 3, I have Will Howard. Number 4, I have Jalen Milroe. And then 5, I have everyone's favorite rising quarterback, Jackson Dart. So I'll just pass the baton to you right away, and then we can dive into it.
I got the same 1 and 2. So I got Cam Ward 1, Shedeur Sanders 2. I have Dart 3, Dylan Gabriel 4, and Tyler Shuck 5.
Okay. Interesting. So we got some disparity here.
Yeah, you can kind of see the disparity is like I see a lot of like potential in your guys, and a lot of my guys are like plug and play guys for now. So it almost entirely depends on like if you want to develop them or you want them just to come in as who they are, which is kind of cool to see.
So when you evaluate, especially quarterbacks, because this is the position that is the most focused on, are you big on comparisons? Do you look at guys and you think of who they remind you of?
I think I look at comparisons for what kind of like limitations they'll have. So like when you see a guy like I don't even know who to compare in this class. I look at like a guy like Tyler Shuck. I kind of compare him to like a Davis Mills, where I'm like, okay, like I don't think he'll ever blow up in the league, but I think that he has a very high floor as a really good backup who can come in and get solid snaps. Maybe over a guy like Milroe, who probably could be better, but his floor also could be like CFL quarterback. So it's just like I do look at comparisons, but mostly for other positions. QBs are pretty unique.
Yeah, that's the reason I ask is because I feel like this has to be exposed. When you think of Will Howard, we'll talk about Will Howard real quick because he is, disclaimer, my guy. Who does he remind you of when you watch him play? Is there a name that pops off the page to you?
Blaine Gabbert.
Blaine Gabbert.
That's what I think of. And it's not an insult. Like Blaine Gabbert was a really good backup for a while, but he's like humongous, like a tough, like well-liked dude. His arm's nothing special, like nothing special of an athlete, but he's just like a solid overall quarterback. So hopefully if he can get a better supporting cast than Blaine Gabbert ever had, then there's a chance for him to actually be pretty good. And I have Howard at 6. What's my disclaimer? So I actually am pretty high on him.
Okay. Yeah, I think this was worth mentioning for me. And when it comes to the comparison thing, for someone like me and maybe others that aren't as, in the weeds with the draft, when I think of comparisons, it helps me actually understand their game. If I can put one guy to an NFL guy, like obviously my knowledge of how NFL quarterbacks play is much more expansive. So if I can match one up to an NFL quarterback that I feel comfortable with, then I can understand them a lot more. So that's why I feel like I'm bigger on making comparisons. But with all that said, I kind of saw Jacoby Brissett and Will Howard.
Yeah.
Like minus the arm, like Brissett's got an arm. That was kind of his big thing. But, I think these are both leaders, well-liked guys. You're not expecting the world out of them, but You put them in the right ecosystem, and they will play when they come up big when they have to. And I think Jacoby Brissett has done that in his own way. It's not been Super Bowl or AFC Championship, et cetera caliber, but when he's been asked to play, he stepped up to the plate. And that was kind of the whole thing with Will Howard, especially down the stretch and coming away with the national championship. Like, I think that was really his big moment, of course, was winning, but not just that. It was the fact that someone who people had questions about and his limitations, he when it mattered most, played well. So
yeah,
that was kind of my big thing with Will Howard. But I want to get your thoughts on should we do that? Yeah,
go
I guess
for it.
before
Just send it. Yeah.
Let's do it. So my overrated guy is Jackson Dart, and that was what I was going to ask you about. I'm not the only person that shares that opinion, but I want to get your thoughts.
I think he's becoming that. Yeah. I think if we kind of said that he's probably like a, third round pick value with really a lot of tools, but mentally nowhere ready to be a quarterback, I think that would be perfect. But the fact that he's so toolsy, people want to throw him as a first round grade, which is ridiculous. So I only have him as a 3, as my QB3, because I'm so low on the rest of the class, not because I'm high on him. So I actually do think he is becoming like fairly overrated. If anyone talks about him on round 1, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I did watch him. I watched a decent amount of him preparing for this episode for the first time, and I was just I was disgusted. Like, I'm not going to lie. I was, in the nicest way possible, disgusted. And I think this is something Tom Brady has talked about a lot, but just the evolution of the quarterback position, it's just, it feels like the ceiling is capped with these guys because of the offenses they live in college and even at the NFL level. Is their development. They're not asked to do much. So they're not learning. They're not experiencing anything. They're not having to do much thinking. And that is Jackson Dart in a fucking nutshell.
Yeah.
Like, watching him in Lane's system, and it wasn't just him executing and doing his job, which he did in this RPO, very first read dependent system. But as the quarterback, the reason why you have so much power over the entire game is because you not only dictate where the ball goes, but you can almost control the reaction of you do control the reaction of the defense. So every single time I saw Jackson drop back, he was not like, the one thing he could do is utilize his eyes and try to be manipulative with his shoulder level and when he's going to release the ball. But everything is just so telegraphed. Like, every time I literally watched him hit the top of his drop, and he watched the receiver he was throwing to the whole time.
Every Ole Miss quarterback that's came out since, like, Eli Manning, like Jordan Ta'amu and Matt Corral and all these guys that have talent, and clear talent. Like, they're very toolsy. They're athletic. They have good arms, and they look good doing it. But, like, they have never been asked to do anything, like, literally ever. So I think that does produce, like, a really bad version for them. And it's going to take like 2 to 3 years for Dart to develop, even with a good QB coach, into something that, like, can be an NFL starter.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just so frustrating because as the quarterback, the manipulation it's so important. It's like you're like a puppet master for the 11 guys. If you had 11 fingers, you can have 11 strings, and you can basically pull one guy this way, pull another guy that way with just your eyes. And he does none of that, not even a little bit. And that's concerning. And on top of the fact that I think the whole arm slot angle thing is something Dart's. I don't care. Like, quite frankly, I don't think his arm he doesn't even have that arm either. Like,
no.
The most attractive thing about Dart is that he's kind of a tough runner, which you wouldn't expect, but that's really the biggest thing that I took away from Dart, and that's not nowhere near enough. Yeah.
He's handsome. He has, like, aura, as the kids would say. Like, he has flow, and he like will have, like, cool face paint, and then he had, like, the one game where he did go absolutely berserk, where he threw for like 500 yards and like 5 touchdowns, and it did look good. But then, like, he had the Florida game where he threw 3 picks in a row, back to back. So yeah, he's all over the place. I do agree he is a little overrated, which is actually, like, the exact same reasons why I had Quinn Ewers as my overrated quarterback. Yeah. I don't think he should really touch most people's top 5 at all, but he does still for some reason. He is, like, actually really, really bad. And I think he's the reason why the Texas receiver duo aren't as high on some people, because they're just fielding ground balls the entire season. Like, it was horrific, and he's dumb. Like, he's really dumb, and he's not good looking, so he doesn't even have that going for him. And he's not a tough runner either. Like, I don't actually see what people see at all with Quinn Ewers whatsoever.
Yeah, I quite frankly didn't consider him anywhere on here. I didn't even know people were still talking about him in a positive way, to be honest.
He's in like the same breath as like Will Howard and Dylan Gabriel to some people. Like, that's like mid-round quarterback that you could like that your team could take a flyer on, but like absolutely not. He doesn't touch them, in my opinion, which is crazy.
Yeah, like Ewers had his moments, but like the thing with like Dart, for example, is even though he had his highs against maybe some weaker teams, he still had them. And with Will Howard, it's like might not be attracted to him as a quarterback physically or with his tools, arm, whatever. He had his big moment when it mattered most. But Ewers, he basically lost his job. So what is there to like? Right?
I don't see anything.
Yeah.
No.
So I agree. I'm shocked to hear that people are still like considering him anywhere. I thought he was kind of a meme now.
He is to people that watch him, but some people that don't watch enough like actual tape think that Ewers, like, because he can throw sidearm, so they're like, yeah, like he's a good developmental player, but like, he's actually just dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's tragic.
I wanted to ask you who your underrated guy is, and disclaimer to this part, I had none because I don't like any of them, to be honest.
No. The only one that I feel is somewhat underrated, and it's only because he gets so much hate, is Kyle McCord.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is actually like shockingly developed since Ohio State. Like, Syracuse, like, there's a reason he was like the most productive QB in the nation, arguably. Like, he was pretty good. Like, he had one really bad game that I'm like, you can hold against him, but other than that, like, he actually had a few games where like I look at him and I'm just like, he can be Aiden O'Connell. He can be exactly what that is. And some teams should go after that in the fifth round. Like, I wouldn't be super opposed to that.
Yeah, I was thinking, I think to Kyle McCord's credit, Syracuse is the closest thing to actual high level college football that I have around me. UB is only to such an extent, but I follow Syracuse very lightly, and McCord put himself back on the map. I would say he definitely was at quite a low in his career leaving OSU. So good for him, I think, is basically where I'm going with that. That's a good point. That is a fair point, because that's somebody I also didn't look into much, but he's definitely on the up and up since leaving Ohio State and everything. I did already kind of say who my guy was. It's Will Howard. I don't feel the need to get into much more of it, but he's just a leader. He stepped up to the plate when asked, and something I admire about him, which I think is maybe tough to find admirable for some people, is like he was so willing to just throw the ball up to his players. And
some people,
some guys don't. Like, some guys see a guy that's trailing them and maybe they'll shy away. And I feel like he never really did that, or not very often. He would just, throw it. And he was often placed decently. He had his times, he had his moments where the ball was off, but more often than not, he gave his guys a chance, put it off shoulder, toward the sideline, let him run under it. I thought he did pretty good at that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think if he goes to a team that already has a decent system in place, I don't see why he can't just run that system, to a decent degree, and like not turn the ball over a lot, do exactly what he did, throw it up to 5-star weapons, and just win games. Like, he can do that, and he's capable of that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Who's your guy?
My guy, I don't really have a guy. Like, this class is not good. Like, I am appropriate on some people, but I actually, like, if I'm going to throw a flyer at anybody, Seth Hennigan from Memphis is like the only guy not a consensus top 10 that has impressed me in some way. Like, he's been like weirdly productive for like the last 4 years, was probably the second best QB at the combine behind Dart. And like, he's decent size, decent athlete, seems like good character. Like, I feel like he could be like a solid backup in the league, and I can't promise that about like most of these guys.
Yeah, that's an understatement. That is like actually an understatement. So it's good to hear. And another guy I should probably put on my list of maybe I'll look at some point. What's his name? Seth, what was that?
It's Seth Hennigan from Memphis.
Seth Hennigan from Memphis. Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's definitely a name that I'm sure a lot of guys don't know. So cool. All right. We'll get into running backs. Well,
Yeah.
Actually, the last thing I wanted to say, back to the comparison thing.
I got some.
With Shedeur Sanders, who's a name that comes to mind for you?
To me, Geno Smith, younger version, like same build, same downfield passing style, relatively same athleticism. Like they're fairly comparable, like a younger Geno Smith. But I did see what you were talking about, but you can go ahead and share it because it was interesting.
Well, before I do, I thought I saw Geno and Cam Ward a lot more, and
I can see a little bit of that.
I saw Shedeur getting a ton of Geno, and I definitely see it. I don't know though, like something about Cam Ward. I think maybe the way Cam Ward plays turns people away from the Geno comparison, but
his style
anyway. Shedeur and Brock Purdy was my comparison, and when I watched him, I was shocked as to how almost unathletic Sanders is. Like he really, I thought being the son of Dion, like this guy would be a freak. And my understanding of his season with Colorado is he's behind an awful offensive line and he's dealing with that. And I kind of going into it was interpreting it. And of course I watched some of the games, but I didn't watch nearly as much as I did prepping for any of the draft. And I was like, the guy's not athletic at all. And
no, he's a very mediocre athlete for the QB position, which is like you said, shocking. Like his brother's a safety, even like it's not like it didn't get passed down in some way. Like his brother is a safety in this draft, and his dad's like one of the best athletes of all time. So kind of insane that he's just like a mediocre athlete at best. And he's not even that big.
No, he's not. He's actually also shorter and smaller than I thought, and that's why I think the whole Brock Purdy thing started once I realized all of these things and watched him. He's undersized. The athleticism isn't really there. His best moments for me, or let's say this, the moments where I think he'll thrive the most were anticipatory throws between the hashes. I think he is able to make things happen when things break down. I mean, that's how he lived for the last couple seasons. And I do think he's limited as far as where he can get the ball when he's on the run, throwing off platform, because his arm isn't the best. But I do think he could be cerebral to an extent. And I felt like Shedeur plopping him with, I know you can plop anybody with Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay or Kevin O'Connell. Like that's the big, throw him with those guys and they'll be fine kind of thing. But really, Shedeur and Brock just, I don't know, they made sense to me. And I wanted to share that because it's weird.
I can see it a little bit.
So, all right. We'll move on from my rambling. Back to running backs.
Yep.
I'll let you go for your top 5.
Alrighty. Off the top of my head. 5, I got Caleb Johnson from Iowa. 4, 5, yes. I'm counting down. No, I'm counting down. 4, I got Travion Henderson from Ohio State. 3, I have Quinshon Judkins from Ohio State. 2, Amarion Hampton from North Carolina. And 1 is Ashton Genty from Boise State. That's the number 1 should not be too arguable.
No, that's why I was like, my eyes kind of popped out when you said Caleb Johnson first. I missed the 5 part. So I'll count down as well. I have Caleb at 5. I do have Scatterbo at 4. At 3, I have Trayvon. At 2, I have Amarion. And at 1, I have Ashton Genty, of course. So I want to know, the big difference here is Judkins. What are your thoughts on him?
I like Judkins. I mean, I see someone that's not like, I mean, I was going to say he's not like super crazy productive, but he actually was at Ole Miss. Like when I combine the Ole Miss tape and the Ohio State tape, you can kind of see a version of 2 different running backs. And there's not really like a weakness there. Like he runs pretty angry, really good vision, really good lateral movement for such a big, like 220-pound back. Very talented receiver at Ole Miss, decent long speed. And I think his instincts are really nice too, which is like enable to like his ability to like press the line and gain additional yardage, kind of like how Le'Veon Bell used to do, is like really underrated. So I think compared to like his size and his crazy durability over like the last 4 years is pretty impressive.
Yeah, his durability was one of the things that I took note of for sure. I think for me, it wasn't that I didn't think he was good enough to be in the top 5. It was more of like one of those things, too many guys, not enough spots.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the class is stacked. Yeah.
Right. And we all know this. and Scatabo has been the one left out. And going into it when I was making my list, he was probably in the back of my mind who I was going to leave out. But then again, I thought about it, and most of the guys in the top 5 are, the stronger thing, the stronger attribute to their game is their physicality, their yards after contact. And, that's kind of Hampton's thing. That's Genty's thing. Even Caleb Johnson's thing to some extent. And even Judkins. I think Judkins, to me, I was kind of interpreting Judkins as more of kind of a Henderson, but at the same time that they wouldn't have complemented each other as much as they did. Right. So that's when I realized I think I would Genty and Hampton, of course, being the top 2. Caleb was just flat out impressive. I think Caleb has.
I could have him higher.
People definitely. I feel like out of everybody, he's probably the one that is highest when he maybe. How do I want to put this? He gets a lot more hype from his hive. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he does.
But Henderson was really the only one that I felt like was the true like slasher in a way. He's fast. He's more elusive. He's kicking people off his feet more than running them over. And looking at the other 4 plus Judkins being 5, I think I'd rather just have, I guess, Scatabo as the bruiser or the guy that's tougher. That's really it.
Yeah. So are one of them like your guy then out of that group?
No, my guy, actually, I stuck with my guy being Jaden Blue.
Okay, I remember that. Yeah.
So I honestly, regretfully, only because I really didn't have anybody else. I put Judkins as my overrated, but I really didn't have much of.
There's not many overrated. That's why I put Cam Scatabo for that too. It's only because he gained, like, I think the hype around him post that one game he had a great season, but the hype around him was like, he's the RB2. He's so close to Genty. It's not even like they're comparable by like a lot of fans. And I was like, okay. Like, to me, he's like a 3rd, maybe round pick. Like, he's good. He's a good prospect, and I'd love to have him. But that's crazy. Like, I always thought the guys like a Marion Hampton and them like were a good level up, even though he's still really good. So I think he was just overrated by a certain like hive of people.
Yeah, definitely. And I think now that I remember my train of thought behind it, I think seeing Judkins have the combine he had and then him rising up, and I'm kind of like thinking, okay, maybe we should pump the brakes on him a little bit. I think that was my thought process. But to your point too, Scatabo was like here, and then the playoff game happened. He's at the top of the mountain. Yeah. And I do feel like more often than not, he's being left out of the top 5, at least maybe from who I follow and what I see. I don't know if that's true across the board, but I think I kind of was like, he's not as much overrated as he once was, and Judkins kind of fell into that. Underrated, who did you have there?
Lan Larison from UC Davis is my guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's been my guy for a little bit. Like, this dude is he's one of the most talented receiving running backs I've ever seen. Like, he legit can run a full 9 route tree and does, and can catch the ball with one hand. Like, decent size, had like 2,500 all-purpose yards last season. Like, he's the best FCS running back in this class, and I think he's better than Marcus Yarns from Delaware, who's getting a lot of hype. But yeah, dude, I'm like the only person on the Lan Larison train, but like
you kind of are. Like, I've not heard this guy's
good.
name.
It's crazy. I don't know why. He was so productive and so good. I don't know why.
So does he? Because who was it? Was it last draft where Dylan Laub was getting
from New Hampshire?
All of that. Yeah, he was getting the receiving running back hype. Is it kind of like that?
I like Larison better because I feel like Laub was just like this short little like bowling ball receiver and running back, but he like, I don't know. I don't think he was that dynamic. I think that he was just like at best like a Danny Woodhead kind of guy. Like, I don't know. I feel like Lan Larison, like if he can bulk up a little bit, like I think that he can be like an actual like legit dynamic receiving threat, like a 600-yard receiving running back kind of thing.
Oh shit,
he's good. Like, he's actually good, dude.
Wow. Yeah, you've been talking about him for a bit. You mentioned him first. I want to say, oh man, what episode was that? That was a while ago, but you have been
like months ago. Yeah.
Because didn't Laub have like the most catches from a running back or something?
He had a ton. Yeah,
he had some record. I thought I remember, but anyway, my underrated guy was Jarquez Hunter out of Auburn.
Yeah.
He's another physical runner. I was gonna go Jaden Blue, but I don't know. I feel like I couldn't just put my guy in underrated because I did feel like both of those categories kind of overlapped a little bit, and
They do.
I fell victim to that a couple times for some other positions. So for running back, I just went with Jarquez Hunter. He plays much more physical than his size would suggest, which I liked a lot about him. So and this is a league where we're trending in a direction where committees are big, and some of his concerns, he might only be a 2-down guy, early down guy, but that's kind of where this league is at. So
that's okay at this point. Yeah,
I'm not really worried about that. So
no. And then I think I just had Judkins as my guy because I've been on his train since like 2021. So yeah, my running backs weren't too complicated outside of Larison.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, and then Jaden Blue was mine.
How's it going?
We'll move into wide receivers. Now, I have a lot to ask you about this category.
Okay.
I'll write my list down. I didn't get too controversial, but I do have thoughts. So I think Travis is by a good margin the best receiver in this class. McMillan second. I have Golden third. I have Egbuka fourth, and I have Burden fifth.
Same.
Yeah.
Literally just down the line. Yeah. Like I have Hunter 1. Yeah. McMillan 2. Like I have the exact same list, which kind of makes sense. It's not even that consensus actually either. It's just kind of cool that we agree on that because the Golden Egbuka Burden is usually like a complete mismatch. Like any of those could go in any order for most people. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool to see you got the same one.
Yeah, one of my many questions for you here is Matthew Golden, and let's put it this way. McMillan, we'll start with him. It seems like, just like in our mock, he's kind of losing steam amongst from NFL circles and from some insiders. Ben Albright has been saying this for I would say almost a month now. He's been saying that teams don't like McMillan as much as the public does. And anytime I see McMillan come up and he's in the conversation somewhere saying like, listen, the teams don't like this guy as much. And he fell in our mock a little bit. And Todd McShay and Daniel Jeremiah recently, I would say over the last week and a half, ranked Golden over McMillan. Mm-hmm. So where do you think this is stemming from? What is the weakness in his game that you think is dropping him, if it's true?
People just don't like the separation. Like he really struggles, like once he hits his stem, to like create an ounce of separation. And I think a lot of it comes from one thing, that he is just so confident that he's catching that ball. He doesn't care who's on him because he's catching that ball. And I think also Arizona just has not really developed any kind of receiver in the last 4 decades. Like they're not really developing route runners like this. And I do see the issue, like he doesn't separate at all. But I think when you have a guy that's so fluid and so athletic, I think that he can develop into that. Like he has the loose enough hips, he has the feet to do it. He just hasn't done it yet, but I think he can.
Yeah, and to your point, I think it's weird with him because, of course, with the draft, a big word that is used often is development, and it feels like we're not giving McMillan that same, or at least some people might not be, that same like cushion of being able to, like you said, he could turn into that player because he has the athleticism to separate, to fix these issues. But for some reason, it's just dead end. Like you can't separate. I'm scared. It's a dead end.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, like there's some teams like Ohio State that just develops route runners. Like some teams just do. Like Alabama used to do that. LSU used to do that. Like Arizona does not. And I think when you have such a good athlete, that's probably just so confident in his hands that he doesn't really care to separate. I think when he gets in with like actual receiver coaches, like a Troy Walters, like he could develop into this really nicely. Like I don't see what T. Higgins does much better than him at most. Like they're very comparable to me as like actual NFL players. So, and McMillan's a better athlete, so I don't see why he can't be at least what T. Higgins is.
Yeah. I mean, for somebody like me who is, I definitely do get turned away from the idea of separation issues. Being a Bills fan with Keon Coleman, I was yeah, right. And that's kind of the thing. Like I see much more than just a contested catch specialist in Ted McMillan. So that's for me where I differ between like a Bills fan watching Keon and seeing McMillan.
Yeah.
With that said, I did have at one point making this list Burden at 3, and I think the rumors. I won't even say the rumors. There is so much truth to his role, his production, all of it being changed and reduced in 2024 compared to 2023. Like the guy that you go and watch in 2024, yeah, he's a prime slot gadget guy, but you go watch in 2023, like this guy's down the field. He's making, he's running under balls. He's beating guys deep, and I think he's decent at the catch point. Like this guy could be a Z to me. So I do think Luther Burden and the hype that he had, it should be coming back. Like I feel like we're really disrespecting him.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I don't think top 5 is too disrespectful either to anybody ever. Like to be a top 5 player and probably a first round grade, right? Like I don't know. I mean, I feel like he's somebody that always benefited from free releases so much, and he's a guy that I actually haven't seen develop much as a route runner at all. And I know people were kind of worried about his quarterback play wasn't great and all that, but Theo Weiss outproduced him on his own team. So there is something to it where the coaches didn't trust him enough to be doing that role. And I just don't know what to believe with him yet because I haven't seen a route runner at all for a guy that's 5'11". That's a little concerning, but I do see an avenue where he can be that. So that's why he is still top 5 for me.
Yeah. And well, that's kind of why I did leave Egbuka kind of stapled into my 4th spot. Another guy that I think could be, he's somebody that can work multiple levels of the field. But like you said, OSU guy, you can run the route tree, and that's Egbuka. So I don't know. I feel like his ceiling, golden ceiling, is undoubtedly the highest.
Yeah,
I would say out of the 3 easily. I think Egbuka is more of what you're getting. But
yeah.
Burden, to your point, you don't know.
No idea. Yeah.
So it's weird. So I was at the top of that, you don't know train for a little bit. Now, as the episode approached, I was like, all right, maybe I need to fizzle down a little bit.
Yeah. And that's what the draft is too. It's like a risk reward analysis. Do you want the guy that could be the next Devo plus, the guy that could be a better version of Shakir, or a guy that could be like Percy Harvin and just kind of get stuck in a role that doesn't really work for him? So I do get it. I get both sides, but I'm kind of on the backside of him for now.
So overrated player. I had a hard time picking an overrated player.
There isn't one. First of all,
this receiver class is. I didn't list one.
I said Burden only because I think that some people have him as 2, and some people have him as an early first round grade. I think that's too rich for me. So he's the only guy I could come up with. I feel like most of the class is extremely fairly rated. That's why finding an underrated guy was hard too. I think most people know this receiving class pretty well and have rated them really well.
My underrated guy, on that note, I went with Ty Felton. I think Ty Felton deserves love, man. I think if I made a whole list, Ty Felton's in my top 10 somewhere.
He is in my top 10.
Back end for sure, but he's not just a deep threat. He's not just the guy that catches it behind the line of scrimmage and makes a couple guys miss. I feel like he's a good separator. I can route run.
Absolutely.
And I think he definitely is not going. He's not a contested catch guy, and I know that's kind of his contested catch numbers are a little bit suspect. It's you're not asking Ty Felton to win a one-on-one ball. This is part of the problem that I've noticed with a lot of people's evaluations with these prospects. It's you're listing negatives of players that they're not going to be doing that, or that's not their game.
And he's not a first-round pick, so it's not like we have to nitpick what kind of role he's going to be playing. He'll probably be maybe an early 4th, realistically. And I think that when you get a guy at that space, if he can contribute to your team at all positively, you take him. And a guy like Felton who can run routes and win after the catch, you get a receiver that can do that in the 4th. You do that. So you don't have to be nitpicky with him. You can just say he's going to be a good receiver on your team, and he will.
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple of games where there was no answer for Ty Felton. So
yeah, that's why he was so productive. He was crazy productive.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, I actually think he's. I was gonna say he's actually very similar to my underrated Kyle Williams. from Washington State. They're actually extremely similar players. Like they're both kind of smaller. They don't win at the catch point, but they're just so slick. Like they're slippery, if that makes sense. Like they're slippery after the catch, slippery route runners. Like they're both great separators. So I think the fact that both of those guys have like the exact same play style and size kind of makes sense.
Absolutely. That makes me interested to know who your guy is.
Oh man, it was Matthew Golden. I've been on the Matthew Golden train for so long, but it feels like everyone's caught up. So I switched it to Eli Iomanner from Stanford. He's my wide receiver 6, and he would be my 5 if Hunter plays corner. So like Iomanner is like, I feel Anquan Bolden when I watch this guy, like super physical. Like he put like 300 yards on Travis Hunter's head. Like this guy is an absolute beast, and he's like reasonably fast, like shockingly fast, on top of being like one of the best blocking receivers in the NFL when he comes in off the bat. So yeah, I think he's going to start immediately and like be really productive.
Out of curiosity, speaking of good run blockers, Jack Besh always comes up in that conversation. Like, where is he in your wide receiver list?
Directly behind Iomanner at like, so now he's probably 7 with Hunter, 6 without Hunter. So like I'm very high on him too. He was just behind him.
Gotcha. That makes sense. With that said, I went with somebody that it just feels like if we don't give him attention now, we're gonna be like, how do we not read the signs on the wall? Or how did we not at least listen to what he did? And that's Nick Nash. Like, dude, you don't just put up college Triple Crown by, I know Brady Cook, you can look at like Brady Cook, for example. And I know I've said before, like college stats almost mean fucking nothing to an extent, but this is a former quarterback we're talking about. He's a hard worker. He got, the whole like the
he's a lunch pail
like,
guy. Yeah. First guy in, last guy out. I'd let him date my daughter. Like
that's exactly what he is. He's competitive. He's hardworking. He's improved year over year since he was just a quarterback. I think he was a quarterback going into San Jose, and I think he converted on the team, which is
he was.
crazy.
I think he was a freshman quarterback and then switched. Yeah.
So to go from being a freshman quarterback to leading college football in earning the Triple Crown, like that has to mean something. It has to. Like this is a guy that I will put my heart and soul into believing he will develop into being a part of a top 3 receiving core somewhere and just flat out produce. Like we're gonna look back and be like, holy fuck. Of course Nick Nash was going to pan out. He's a hard worker. He showed improvement. He understands how to get open because he's a former quarterback. He can feel leverage. Like he's got all of it, I feel like. And no one's talking about Nick fucking Nash.
I'm not either. But I'll be rooting for him. I love the story. He was super productive, so it does mean something. But I didn't love the tape, but that's not to say he's not going to be great. I'm not a scout, so I don't know, but I will be in the stands rooting for Nick Nash wherever he goes. He is awesome
to hear that. I will be like Nick Nash out of everyone here on my guys lists here. That is my number one by a mile.
Understood.
So you will be getting Nick Nash text messages if he gets drafted. I hope he does. He might.
I don't know.
He might not even get drafted.
I don't think he will.
That just adds to the story. That just makes it all that much better.
Yeah.
So anyway, into tight ends. I think I listed my receivers first. So knock it out.
My tight ends have been controversial forever, but they are what they are. I've watched so many of them. 1, Tyler Warren, Penn State. 2, Colston Loveland, Michigan. 3, Mason Taylor, LSU. 4, Elijah Arroyo, Miami. And 5, Harold Fannin from Bowling Green.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've watched so much Harold Fannin.
Well, I will agree with you. Penn State, Tyler Warren 1, Colston Loveland 2. I feel like that's kind of locked in for everyone right now.
Yeah.
3, I have the mysterious man you left off, Terrence Ferguson. At 4, I have Mason Taylor, and then at 5, I have Elijah Arroyo.
Yeah.
So, what about Ferguson? What turns you off my guy Ferguson?
I think finding his NFL role was hard for me because I'm like, he is a really good athlete, but like he kind of just like falls over when you hit him. So I'm like, he is really athletic and he does have like a good catch radius. So I could see him like panning out like a big slot role, kind of similar to like what Gesicki did for the Bengals this year. I could see that, but like that's so specific to me that like I think he very well could be if drafted by the right team. But like when I'm like trying to scout for like all 32 teams, I'm just like I don't know which of these teams he would fit on with his play style like that. He is in my top 10. He's just not my top 5. I think he's still a really good player.
Yeah, I had a flash of like when I'm watching film on some of these players, and it's kind of what happened with Shedeur and Brock. I'm like, holy shit, that's Brock fucking Purdy. This kind of happened with Terrence, and it was way wrong. Like I this is not my comparison by any means. Let me just say that first. But I saw him running, just running in the open field. I'm like, that looks like Travis Kelce running. I was like, it's not Travis Kelce running routes. It's not Travis Kelce getting open. It's nothing like it. There was just like this moment of him running. I'm like, why does that look like him? And of course, it's not him. And in fact, I would say he's a lot closer to Kittle if we're talking about the upside than Kelce at all. But his yards after catch metrics. I mean, this guy is just racking up the yards with the ball in his hands. And yeah, I did feel like there were times where I'm like, you're kind of big to be like falling right now. But
yeah, he's an athlete though. He's a real athlete.
Yeah. And I do feel like compared to Mason Taylor and Arroyo, like there's more trust I'll put in Ferguson to develop as someone to block in pass protection in the run game. That's kind of what docked Mason and Arroyo for me. Like I read a lot of negative things about their ability to block. At least Arroyo is inconsistent. I saw some people talking about Taylor like this guy can't block, period, which I don't believe because he's a big player. Anybody that's big can eventually figure it out.
Yeah, that's just another thing that LSU doesn't really develop from their tight ends very much. Mm-hmm. I think he very well can. I mean, I think that you saw that even at the combine, like when you saw him on the sled, he was so much better than everyone else because like he's very capable of that. Like he just wasn't really asked to do it much, especially in pass pro. Like he's an okay run blocker, I guess. But yeah, I just think that he fits the entire mold of like what an NFL tight end looks like. Like when guys like, geez Louise, what am I trying to think of? Like Sam Laporta, when he came out, everyone's like, he's just your regular tight end. Jake Ferguson, just your regular tight end, but they work. Like that's the type of tight end that works. Tucker Kraft, Dallas Goedert, they all have like the same mold. And I think Mason Taylor just kind of fits like the same build, the same athleticism mold these guys have.
Yeah.
But geez, yeah, Elijah Arroyo is one that like it entirely depends what team he goes to because he is the best athlete here to me, like undoubtedly, comfortably, and probably the best route runner if you just let him loose. But there's just so much like durability issues and blocking and like raw power. I'm just like I'm gonna hold off on my top 3, but I love the guy.
Yeah, not to mention you said durability. That is my biggest concern. I mean, I think he had 2 major knee injuries, right?
Yeah.
So that is certainly worrisome. And his play style doesn't remind me of this player specifically, but one of my guys from last year was Eric All. I loved Eric All. And the poor guy, I thought he was finally ramping up opportunities.
He was good. Yeah.
And the motherfucker hurts his knee again. It wasn't even in a game, was it? It was like in practice, I think.
I think that he hurt it and then he hurt it again. Like I think he hurt it and he was healing, and then he hurt it again.
Yes.
So now he's going to miss. He was just slated to miss like the end of the season, come back maybe halfway through next year. But now he's out this year too.
Yes.
Like
I was devastated.
People kind of and you can't draft off injuries, but like because you can't predict them. But it just kind of happened. Like he's just hurt all the time. So I'm worried about that with Arroyo, which is why I don't have him as like my underrated, overrated anything. Like I'm just waiting to see.
Yeah. I had him as my overrated just for this reason. I would certainly I would caution against it. And I think maybe my love for Eric and my heart being broken is playing into my emotions toward this player. But it's just like looking at Arroyo, he's got like this frame that makes it very easy for like him to get cut down and like Brian Branch is coming in, his knee's done. Like he's done. Like, that's the type of
It's like that
player.
Kyle Pittsy kind of like
Yes.
tall and lean, where you're just like anything could happen here in any second. Like one helmet to the knee and you're done.
Yeah. He
So-
runs tall almost is like
Yeah,
the way
he
to
is
put
tall.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It sucks for him.
yes, it does. I was trying to avoid the Kyle Pitts mention because like
Yeah.
he also wears number 8. And I'm like, oh, he's just gonna think that I'm saying he looks like Kyle
From the
Pitts
state of
'cause they have the
Florida.
same
Yeah.
number. Exactly. But
Mm.
I do share the same thoughts. But my underrated player was Ferguson. I think
There you go.
you
Yeah.
leaving him out of your damn top 5 speaks to that. But he was because of a lot of the guys that we talked about from the Combine Risers. That was when I started to really dig into it for the first time a lot. So he was one of them then, and he's one of them now.
Yeah, I always appreciate somebody putting like a not top 5. Like it's not a consensus top 5 guy, so I always appreciate somebody throwing somebody up there, and like you have a good argument for it. Like he very well could be that. But my underrated is Jackson Hawes from Georgia Tech. He is far and away, by far, not comparable, the very best blocking tight end in this class. Like he was a better blocker at the Senior Bowl than like half the tackles. Like he is an actual animal. And I think he was a transfer from Yale, so a lot of people don't know him, but like this dude's an absolute freak. So I think if any team like runs 12 personnel, once a blocker, Jackson Hawes is your guy, 1,000%.
So a team like, I mean, it sounds like Tommy Tremble might be getting replaced. No, they just extended him.
Yeah, this extended him like for a lot, like 2 for him. Yeah, it's like $8 million a year for Tommy Tremble.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but like I mean, every team, like any team that's picked up Will Dissly or Drew Sample in the last like decade, like that kind of player, but better, in my opinion.
So he's got that. I mean, those are not awful receivers either.
No,
Like,
they're capable but good blockers. Yeah,
yeah. Was he you said that was your underrated? Did you mention
my underrated? Yeah, my guy is Mason Taylor, just because like I feel like I'm a little higher on him than most, and I think people are getting there now, but I think from where he was like a month ago, I'm pretty high on him.
Fair enough. All right. Interior offensive lineman. Okay. I had some fun with this, I think. Not too much, but some. Number 1, I have Donovan Jackson. Pending. Number 2, I have Gary. Number 3, I have Tyler Booker, regretfully. 4, I have Marcus Embo. And 5, I have the mullet man himself, Mr. Tate Rutledge.
There you go. I had guards and centers separately, but I mean, I don't know if I can do it off the top of my head. Actually, I'd probably just do all guards mostly, but I'll just run through them really quick. So centers, I'm projecting Gray Zabel here. 1, 2, Marcus Embo from Purdue. I think he's a center. 3, Jared Wilson, Georgia. 4, Joshua Gray, Oregon State. 5, Seth McLaughlin, Ohio State. And then guards, I have a predictive Will Campbell, number 1. 2, Gray Zabel, if he plays there. 3, Tyler Booker. 4, Tate Ratledge. 5, Jonah Savanaya from Arizona.
I almost had Jonah in there.
He's such an athlete. He's crazy.
Who else did I almost have? There was another guy. I can't remember his
name. I have Donovan Jackson in the exact same realm as Tate Ratledge and Jonah Savanaya. He's just literally like a fraction of a point behind Savanaya on my board. He missed it. He's really good.
Donovan, you said?
Donovan Jackson, yeah. I have him as like a mid to late second, which I have on Savanaya as well.
Donovan, I mean, the theme that I found myself falling into with the linemen was where they can be played, and just being the whole idea of being able to play in multiple places is so attractive to me, and it's not unpopular, of course, but like Donovan Jackson is so awesome. Like 10 weeks of guard, and then going out, it was guard to tackle, and
he was a better tackle.
And he was a better tackle, which is now where, of course, he's listed on most positional big boards. But I mean, I don't see why he couldn't. He's, in my opinion, the best guard for that reason. And then being able to go out to tackle, he's also, in my disclaimer, top 5 tackles too. But yeah, I mean, that's so cool to me. And the same thing for
cool.
I'm calling him Gary. Same thing for Gary. Yes. It's like another guy that can really go anywhere. I know it's not the same for Tate he's kind of just a massive guard.
Yeah.
But he killed the combine. So
He's really
that was
good
good to see.
Yeah.
He was kind of the opposite of what we saw from Booker, right? These are two massive humans. One actually looks like he can move with his body and the other not so much.
Right.
But on that note, I had Booker as my overrated because I just am so afraid of his ability to move.
I did that as well. Like, I think he reminds me of like Osiris Torrance, but like not even as good of an athlete. Like, and if you're like Osiris Torrance but worse, I don't know if I necessarily like want you on my team. So I think he still can be good. Like as a Baltimore Raven, I think that he's a monster, right? Like you see that, but like as a Cincinnati Bengal and pass pro, absolutely not. So like it's just like projection for him is the hard part. But like on a run heavy team, he could be really good.
Mm-hmm. Well, with that,
I had him as my overrated too, so that makes sense.
Underrated. I mean, I kind of stuck with Donovan. I don't.
Yeah,
think
he is.
I mean, he can almost, in my mind, be a top 20 pick. Like, he probably won't be, but just because of how good he was at both of those positions, it's like a Calvin Banks is going to Miami right now. Like, why can't that be Donovan Jackson?
Yeah.
Like, I really feel like that's the type of range he should be falling in. And I don't see this guy. And even when we did our mock, he wasn't on my radar. I don't even know if he was on the pickable portion of the PFF mock simulation. I'm like, what?
Probably not.
Starting to read, I'm like, what? Why? What's going on here? So Donovan was my fifth for that.
My underrated was Luke Kandra, guard from Cincinnati. This dude is like, I mean, there's a reason this dude put up the most reps on the bench at the combine of any position. Like this dude is an absolute animal, but also is probably the smartest player in the draft. Like this dude's ability to like know exactly when to hit the second level, know when to slide. Like he knows exactly where to be in position at all times. So like I think this guy is like a legit NFL guard.
He is. I was reading about him briefly. He's not the biggest guy, is he? Is he?
He's like 6'4", 320, I
That's
think.
not bad.
Somewhere around there. His arms were short, but his wingspan was long because his shoulders are huge. So it's like a weird, interesting build.
That's a unique build unlocked.
There is a more unique build that I have later, actually, but
oh, shit. Okay.
The most unique build in the draft.
Yeah. My guy was Marcus, and kind of for similar reason. Like I know he could be an issue in pass protection, but like he's just like a fun watch. Like this guy he's smart. Like that was what I was reading about with Marcus. Is he's smart. I was reading like the Draft Network's write up on him, and this guy I don't remember who the analyst was, but he like loved him too much. But he was talking about how he uses his eyes to like manipulate who he's pulling up to. It's something like, and of course I'm not going to take his word for Bible, but it was really cool to see his game broken down like that, because I never really have heard anything like that about an offensive lineman, like being able to the mind games that it sounded like he was able to play. Like that was a unique perspective on him. So taking it for word, I thought that was pretty cool.
It is cool. I mean, like I think all of his issues at tackle stem from like just not having enough. He's not like a physical presence. You know what I mean? Like he's not huge. He's not that powerful. I think you can kind of fix a lot of that by putting him inside at center or even guard. Like I think he's smart enough. Like the intelligence comes to him playing center. I think he can do that. So I really like him. Like it's like kind of like a Connor Williams. Remember how he kind of came in as a tackle, switched inside. Was a really good center for a while. I think I can see the same thing with Marcus and Bao.
Yeah, because Marcus is not, like you said, the biggest guy. So I think he'll definitely be inside. I would be shocked if he was.
I think I would almost put money on it.
Yeah. All right. For the offensive tackles, I will let you take the reins.
One, I'm not counting injury. One is Josh Simmons, just for how good his tape was. Two, I have Armand Membo. Three, I have Will Campbell. 4, Kelvin Banks. And 5, Josh Connerly from Oregon.
I went with Will Campbell at 1, Armand Membo at 2, Josh Simmons at 3, Kelvin Banks at 4, and I had Donovan Jackson at 5.
Yeah.
So that's where he fit in there.
Okay.
I know we kind of talked about it in the last episode. You kind of said like you feel like you said when we were talking about the Raiders, mocking him to the Raiders. You said you didn't feel like he could play left tackle or right tackle rather.
Yeah, I don't think he's right.
So is that kind of why you have Membu above him? Is because you feel like maybe he could play both sides?
I think it's just like Will Campbell does have like crazy short length, which is shocking because he has the shortest wingspan of any tackle prospect in like a decade, including a shorter wingspan than Willie Lampkin in this draft, who is like 5'10". It's like it's so interesting. Like he would have, I think right now, like there are examples of guys who have short wingspans, like Zach Tom or Jake Matthews, where it does exist. But like I don't know. I think his ceiling is just so much higher at guard. Like I think at tackle, like he's capable, but he would need a lot of work to make up for his lack of length. Where at guard, I think he's a mauler. Like, I think he would be elite. So I kind of drop him a few spots just because I don't think that he can play. Like I'm not confident in him being a tackle at all. It's kind of my thing.
That's fair. I mean, the way that at least early in the process, I felt like the way people were talking about Campbell was not only like this runaway OT1, but almost like Joe Alt level like hype.
Oh.
I kind of was getting that kind of feel, but of course, as the process continued, that was not the case at all. And now here we are. He's not even consensus tackle one, no. I would say anymore.
Because Joe Alt had like alien level length. Like he had like one of like the biggest. He had like an NBA level wingspan. That dude was a beast. Yeah. There is no Joe Alt in this draft. There is not.
No, there is not. Joe Alt might be one of like the greatest prospects of all time.
Yeah, and tackles, yeah, for sure.
Legitimately. My overrated player for, and this is strong. This kind of derives from what I was saying with Donovan Jackson being an option over Banks, like in that range. I do have Kelvin just for that reason. Like, I don't think he's as position flexible as a guy like Donovan at all. And that, I mean, of course, Donovan's the ceiling in that regard, but I had a hard time really pinning. I guess, I mean, for someone, maybe Will Campbell's your overrated perchance.
No,
but so I really didn't have. I was having, now that I'm realizing, a hard time kind of choosing an overrated guy for some of these categories.
I had the same one for Kelvin Banks. I picked him too. Yeah. It's not that he's like bad at anything. He's just not great at anything.
That's what I feel.
He's just okay. Like at everything. He's average size, average athlete, average hands, average feet. You know, like he is young, so I'll give him that. He's really, really young for a tackle prospect. But like I see like Austin Jackson when I want, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel he's okay. He's a safe pick. I don't think he's gonna ever be bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think there's any ceiling here, really. And I struggle with that. Like to be like my first round pick, I want you to have a ceiling, like a really high ceiling, especially when you have such a good tackle class in the first round. So yeah, I don't see the OT1 call for him at all, honestly.
No, absolutely. You described it perfectly. How I don't think I could have put it into words, but I think you did. You did for me. Like he's a safe pick, but there's not. It just doesn't feel like there's much to get excited about. It's just like, you know, if I was a fan of the team that selected him, I'd be like, all right, yeah, I mean, we needed it, and that would be it. That would be the end of my rope with it.
Right. You're just like, okay, I guess. Yeah, like it's just okay, like fine.
Yeah, fine, whatever.
Yeah, he's fine.
They addressed it. Yeah. Fine, I can live. My underrated. I mean, I really blew the lineman with this part. I put Donovan for both my guy and underrated.
I mean, that's not a problem if that's just like your guy you stamp. If this is the guy you stamp for the draft, like your guy and underrated, just stamp him down. Make sure people know. Yeah, I mean, my guy was Josh Timmons, so I've done my fair share of talking about how good he is. But I feel like I was just on the early end of his hype. So I'm just going to keep him as my guy so people just know. They know who I was here. But my underrated was Ozzie Trapilo from Boston College. He just feels like a pro when I watch him. Like he's a guy you could probably get third, fourth round. Him and Anthony Belton are like the only two value picks I really like. But Ozzie has like crazy length, really good power, pretty smooth, looked good at the Senior Bowl, amazing measurements. Like, I don't know. He just looks like he's just like I'm watching like an Anthony Costanzo all over again. Like this guy's just super smooth, he's just an NFL player.
He was, I mean, he's pretty, I don't want to say far down. Where do you have him projected to go?
Projected, like I mean, it just depends how fast the early run on tackles is.
Yeah.
But probably like third round if a team really wants one. Like I don't think he's a high end guy because he's not that like he doesn't have like the high end athleticism these guys have. But like I would put money he could be a top 5 tackle in this class. Like I just don't know. I just don't know like who's just going to drop out of that. That's my only problem.
Yeah, that's true. That was kind of when we were talking about the quarterback conversation when I put out there where would Rattler go in this class, and we kind of had that thread going. That was kind of like I put it out there with that thought, and then I was also thinking it just all depends on like the run of the position. At least in that case, it was quarterback, and like if Dart was in last year's class, he like to me when I see Dart, I get mad. But when I was watching Rattler, I was having the time of my life. So in my mind, I'm seeing, talent wise, they're probably falling in that same range of draft pick. But if a team likes Dart and he was in last year's class, he might go in the third round because 6 just went in the top 15 picks. So a team might reach to get Dart because of the run that happened in the first. So to the point you were making with tackles here, it just all depends on how many go in front of him. And yeah, that's really it. So, all right, we're on the defensive side of the ball now. Edge rushers. I, of course, have Abdul Carter at my 1. I have Shamar Stewart at my 2. I have Jalen Walker at my 3, Michael Williams at my 4, and Donovan Ezaraku at my 5.
I like that. I mean, mine's kind of like a shuffle of that. And I didn't take into account something very specific that would have to do with this player. But I have Abdul Carter 1, Mike Green 2. He's that good. I haven't read the reports yet. I don't know. 3, I have Shamar Stewart. 4, Ezaraku. 5, Michael Williams.
So I've been seeing, I mean, we know the big thing about Michael is he's, the floor, the high floor is there because he's a good run defender, of course. I've also read that like people have concerns about him as a pass rusher, and I think people are he's him, James Pierce, Mike Green, Ezaragu, like they can go anywhere from like top 8 to like 32nd, and I can't figure out which one will go where. Michael has kind of risen in that range purely because of like the concerns with Mike Green and even Pierce. But I don't know. I have a hard time like putting him, but mocking these guys over Green or over even Pierce sometimes. Right. I don't know. But how do you feel about Michael, I guess, is where I'm coming from.
I'm not excited. Like, I think that he's like a high floor player, like you said. Yeah. Like, I mean, at his peak, like I think if he unlocks everything, he can be like a Jason Pierre-Paul, like a Carlos Dunlap, or like he's like a strong side player, really good run defender, uses his length correctly. But that's if he develops a ton. And I don't know how much he's going to develop from now. His pass rush is pretty non-existent. Like there's no bend, zero bend, no counters, no toolbox. Like he kind of just tries to over physical you. And I have a problem with that when I'm drafting you in the first round. So I drop him a bit for that, but he's such a good run defender that like I do give him props.
Yeah, that's kind of like the balance of, do I want to take this quote unquote safe, that word comes up, the safe guy, the high floor, or do I want to take the risk with the talented, with the freak athlete in Mike Green? Like that guy's actually like nuts. Like I'll watch him running over Josh Connerly and like spazzing out like 4 times. Every time I see it, I'll replay it like 4 or 5 times over. Like,
he's that nuts. Good. Yeah. And he did it against Ohio State. Like I don't remember, it was a Josh Fryer. I don't know who was playing right tackle, but he put him in a spin cycle. Like had the tackle on the ground as he sacked Will Howard. Like it was one of the nastiest plays of the year.
And I think I do remember seeing that.
Like he's that good. He's that technical too. There's a reason he led all of college in sacks because he was that good. With Ezaraku being right behind him as the best pass rusher, people just worry about like the run defense profile, but I think he is capable of it.
Yeah, I mean, It's also one of those things where it all depends on team fit. If, they're not looking for somebody that needs to help out in the run much, like, why are you not swinging for Ezeraku? And that's
You're an
how I
Eagle,
feel with
pal. Yeah.
right. Like, yeah, right. And that's how I feel with Buffalo and Hendrickson. And that's kind of why I get frustrated.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the reasons why people were worried about Hendrickson. It's like, we don't need that. Just get the quarterback.
You have Rousseau. You have Epinesa. Like, you have, you had Mike Hoke. I don't know how you say his name, but like, you had these run defending edges, and you didn't have a guy that was getting 15 sacks in a year. Hendrickson would, and they're just like, not a scheme fit. Who cares? Who cares? Good players are good.
Yeah, really. All right. So overrated. I once again am gonna touch on Mike Green because we're not even talking about like Elijah Arroyo tearing his knee again. We're talking about a guy that can potentially find himself doing hard prison time at some point. So I have him as my overrated. I'm interested to hear who your overrated is.
Comfortably Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. Like, I think that any first round buzz is like, that is malpractice. I think he literally has T-Rex arms, and he's like average athlete, no bend, very limited toolbox. I don't really see how he can fit on an NFL starting team and be productive at all. So I think Jack Sawyer is like possibly the most overrated player in the class.
I thought he was a linebacker, or way early. I really did. Like, when I remember watching, who did Ohio State play before the championship? And he had the sack and the fumble return.
That was against Texas when he did that.
And
that was a good play.
I thought he was just a linebacker.
It doesn't make him a first round pick.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. There's such an overreaction to like big plays that yes, he got a sack on a decent tackle. Like, that's awesome. Commending you for that, but like, NFL draft is a lot more than like watching one good play. So yeah, I'm not sold.
Yeah, I would agree. Underrated though, you're gonna have to help me. Ole Miss's Princely Umamilian. Thank you. Thank you. Princely Umamilian. Sure. I think, like, for me, like, James Pierce, if you have concerns about him, then just wait on Princely. A little bit later.
Yeah. He's a bear. Like, that's how it feels. Like, early second round, like, really good pass rusher, really good athlete. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think a lot of Walter Nolan talk. Even like a lot of guys on Ole Miss's defense are going to be day 1-2 picks, and Trey Amos gets a lot of attention. JJ Peg, fuck,
don't even try. Yeah.
Don't even try. He's catching passes, so he's getting a lot of media attention. And then Walter Nolan. It's like, what about Princely here? Like, let's start talking about Princely a little bit more, because I think he absolutely can be a very impactful player early on in his NFL career. So I think he deserves some love.
Yeah. I'm actually very similar. I'm staying on that defense, but I'm not doing Princely. I don't even have to call him an edge. He's kind of an end. Jared Ivey. Okay. And I haven't heard really anybody talk about him, but I think he could actually be better than like almost every prospect on the Ole Miss defense. Like, I think that he might be like my favorite prospect on Ole Miss. Like, he is an absolute beast. Like when you think of him, like, you kind of think like a Denico Autry style, where he's like a 6'4", 270, 280, like ridiculous power, good length, weirdly twitchy for being that big. And I don't know why he's not getting talked about more. I guess he's not flashy, but like, if you want your edge to take on a double team and drive them both backwards, this is the guy. Like, he is an absolute freak. So Jared Ivey, second round pick, lock it in. His dude's an absolute freak.
A lot of, like you said, not much to be heard from the Jared Ivey hive is either small or quiet.
It's quiet for now, but
it's
I'm leading the charge.
All right, I like it. Your guy. Who did you have as your guy? Fuck it. No, don't.
I'm not even.
Don't even answer that, please. My guy was, like I said, I think part of my problem for finding my guy, and even some of the other things for this, was like, I started my process kind of late, so I didn't develop an attachment as much. But I think I'm going to be rooting for Shamar to get drafted pretty high, just because he's such a freak. Like he's just an animal. So
who do you see with him? Like what's your comparison? Because I got one that I see every single time without fail.
Shamar, I mean, I don't want to say clowny because that's really, really, really basic. But I mean, it's kind of hard not to.
It's hard not to. Like,
yeah, is that who you would have said?
I see a lot of him. I see some Rashawn Gary as well. Like, okay. But Jadeveon Clowney is like they're just these big athletes, and like there might be like a limited pass rush to them. Like you don't run to their side. Like they're that good, and they can blow you up. So yeah, dude, he's a freak. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I think compared to his counterparts, not that we know of, at least, there are no issues. He seems like a decent guy. He's a high-end athlete. Like,
well, he went to Texas A&M, like per his I think it's his mother. He went there to kind of like be away from like the gang life where he's from. So like clearly they're going to somewhere like College Station, like to improve his character, like to get him away from all this stuff. Like it sounds like he is a good character and he wants out of that life to be an NFL player and lock in. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, that's really all that kind of guy needs is the mindset. That's really like once you have the on the field stuff kind of figured out, now you got to improve, which is more often than not up there, and how much you're going to actually care and lock in. So that's good to hear. All right. We will move into interior defensive line.
Good class. This class is stacked.
It is.
It's ridiculous.
I think this was yours take.
Let me go up. 1, not too controversial. I got Mason Graham. 2, his counterpart, Kenneth Grant. 3, I have Derek Harmon from Oregon. 4, Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. And directly behind him by like 2 spots on my board, Darius Alexander from Toledo.
I have almost the same list. I have Graham to Grant to Harmon, and I have Alexander at 4 and Nolan at 5.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is consensus for most people. It's some sort of
very close to it. Yeah. So there is still a Nolan hive that exists that will tell me he's better than Kenneth Grant and that he's worthy of like a borderline top 10 pick. I don't see that like at all when I watch Walter Nolan, but I guess his PFF grades are so good, like he has to be there. But yeah, not my cup of tea, but I do see a situation where he is really good.
I've seen Nolan get drafted in some mocks are really high. Like I think I saw as high as who's 8 again? Carolina. Maybe it wasn't Carolina.
I've seen Miami,
but yeah, I've seen that too. Miami is probably the highest on average I've seen. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Harmon was like talk about a maniac. That guy was a maniac. I know it's been like it was just the whole 1 year thing in his final year, whatever. But like usually the latest version of the player is probably the version of the player that they are now. And the whole idea of only having 1 season of production, I get that might be concerning, but that's probably the player they are. So
it's not to me because he dropped like 35 pounds to get where he is now from his Michigan State self and then transfers to Oregon and he cuts all the weight and now he's just an athlete. And you can see that by running like a sub-5 40-yard dash. So like I think this is really the first time he's ever even been this player because it's the first time he wasn't like 350 pounds. So like I think he's just an absolute animal. Like I think I worry about him finishing. Like you didn't see him getting a lot of sacks or a ton of tackles for loss, but like he was always back there and he messed stuff up. So I wouldn't be mad if he goes top 15 in the draft, like at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if either him or Nolan do, it will between the two, I think it would be him. Honestly, I also don't see Nolan going that high. Mm-hmm. Overrated. I mean, I guess Nolan probably would fit this description, right? I think Nolan was who I wrote. Another like kind of like I don't want to call him overrated. I feel like that's bold, but it depends on who you talk to. If
overhyped, I guess.
Overhyped.
Yeah. Like he's a good player. Like I still have, a late first, early second on him. I think he could be really good. If he goes to Philly, Milton Williams replacement, he could be great. But like, I don't know. If he goes to like Miami, I don't see it. But my overrated, I have been saying this for freaking 2 years now. Deion Walker from Kentucky. He was projected to be a first round pick. I remember seeing people mocking him in the first to Jacksonville earlier this season.
God.
That was from someone who's never watched Deion Walker play a snap of football, though, because like it is the most frustrating tape in the world. I can't watch it. It's terrible. Even though he's like, and to describe it, if you haven't seen it, he plays defensive tackle like a former basketball player, which he is. But if you can imagine what that means, is a 6'7" guy who just stands straight up and just charges forward and tries to win with athleticism. But it doesn't work. I mean, it didn't work this season. And it's a tough watch.
Yeah, I do. I mean, that's his whole shtick is like just like the whole standing up thing from the inside, right? That's basically that's like and that like that's not gonna fly, right? Like, there's no way that's gonna fly.
Yeah. Tate Ratledge made sure he knew that and blew him into the secondary multiple times because even though he's smaller, Tate Ratledge is a dog and he knows how to play like football. Deion Walker does not know how to play football. He just stands straight up and hopes to get a sack by running forward. Like it's not good.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like that's like an aspect of his game that if like he was good, or like if he was really producing doing it, like kind of the whole Ashton Genty standing up thing. Like,
right. Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're Ashton Genty, so you can do it, but like you're not the Ashton Genty of defensive tackles.
Well, Deion Walker stands up after the snap. Like Ashton Genty looks cool. Deion Walker doesn't go forward when the ball is snapped. He just like gets up out of his stance and then goes. Like it's so tragic. I can't watch it.
Tragic.
Tragic.
He's gonna have to drop that. Like Cam Moore has to drop the nonchalant act. He has to.
I hate it. In Tennessee, in Tennessee, he's not going to be an upgrade over Levis if he does that. Like he's not a good fit for their offense as it goes.
I agree. If I see him stand flat-footed and throw one pass, I'm out. I'm not supporting him anymore. I'm done. I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to see it.
That's fair.
Tell me old school, like, no, I don't want to see it. All right. Underrated. I mean, a couple of guys kind of bounced off the wall for me here. I didn't really have one jump off. I mean, you could throw... I don't know. My AirPod's falling out. I don't know. Like, I guess a guy in the top 5 could be, but I'm getting sick of like repeatedly doing that. So let me think. You go ahead.
I got Jordan Phillips from Maryland is my guy. He's a former wrestler and kind of plays like it. Like he's the opposite of Deion Walker. Like his leverage is ridiculous. He gets under your pads, will lift up a center off of his feet. He's insanely strong, probably like the pound for pound strongest defensive tackle in the class. And I don't see a scenario how he doesn't make an NFL roster and like be pretty impactful. He can play nose, but he's athletic enough to kind of bounce over. I'm a really big fan.
Jordan Phillips. Where is he out of?
Maryland.
Where was the other Jordan Phillips out of?
Like the nose tackle?
Yeah, the other.
I know where every player went to college. I don't know his for some reason.
Why do I feel like it was Maryland? There's no way. That would be getting talked about.
I feel like it would, but you never know.
Yeah. I think somebody that I will land on is what is it? Omar Norman Lott, right?
Yeah, from Tennessee.
I've been seeing some hype about Omar Norman Lott.
Yeah.
I think he probably fits this description for me.
Yeah.
Not going to act like I can break his game down right on the spot.
He's an explosive penetration style 3-tech player who has like the biggest hands of all time. Look at this dude's hand size. They are ridiculous. He has like 10.5-inch hands. Like it's ridiculous.
He's got football, baseball mitts.
Yeah, literally. And like it shows. Like the only negative about him is that like he is what James Pierce is like allegedly. Like this dude is like the biggest crash out on the football field of all time. Like I'm pretty sure he had like led the league in like penalties from a defensive tackle for like personal fouls. Like he is like he's ridiculous, but he's so good that like somebody's gonna take a flyer on him. Like he's so explosive, it's ridiculous.
That's hilarious. I did not know he was a crash out. That's pretty funny.
He is, but he's good. It makes sense him on the same team as James Pierce. Just
Maybe
two
there was
Tennessee.
something in the water. Something in the water over there.
Literally. Yeah, being in Knoxville. Yeah.
All right. We will move on to linebackers. And I think I don't remember who did what, but I did give a disclaimer to Austin pre-show that I didn't get into the linebackers, so I'm gonna kind of just let him run this one down.
All right, well, I'm gonna go down 5. No, we'll start with 1. Let's get out of the way. Carson Schlesinger, UCLA. 2, Jahad Campbell, Bama. 3, one of my favorites in the class, Demetrius Knight from South Carolina. 4, Danny Stutzman, Oklahoma. And 5, Teddy Buchanan out of Cal. So it's like a mix of guys that are popular and guys that aren't that popular.
Demetrius Knight was the consensus like third name. Like it's either you have Carson 1 and Jahad 2 or vice versa, but then it was always Demetrius 3.
Yep.
I noticed you didn't have Pooh Paul in there though, and I know we've kind of touched on him in the past, but I feel like he's in this top 5 conversation like frequently. So
yeah.
What were is it just his size? Just you kept him out.
It's his size / athleticism / like I don't see him having the same impact that other undersized linebackers have. And I've compared him to guys like Ivan Pace, who is undersized, yes, but he's also like weirdly strong and super physical, can deconstruct blocks. I don't see Chris Paul doing that really. I mean, he had like one of the worst combines of anybody. Like he was measured in at like 5'11", 220, ran like almost like a 4.7, and I don't know. I think that he's going to struggle to tackle. His tackle radius is so small, which does matter. And I think that he's just going to get blown away by guards that reach second level. He's just kind of too small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even such a big part of being a linebacker too is just being able to be tall and take away passing lanes over the middle of the field just by standing there. Like, yeah, that was kind of the whole reason why Tremaine Edmonds got paid, because he can stand there and just block passing lanes with his head and waving his arms. Like,
yeah, he's 6'5" with like a freak arms like wingspan. Like, it matters, and he was good at it. And they're just gonna like, is he gonna cover somebody in man coverage like a tight end? Like, I don't know how he's gonna do this. Like, because he is short and his arms are short for his height. Like, it's just a really weird build that doesn't really work in the NFL. And he'll have splash plays here and there that I think will be really good. Special team star probably, but like as a starting linebacker, I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think he has so many obstacles to overcome. Like and that goes for anybody that's undersized, but even when we were talking about it in the combine episode, he didn't even show he was athletic. So it's like, what are we getting offered here? And that's why I'm getting confused as to why he's in these top 5 conversations for the linebacker position, because I don't see it. Like, was he that productive in school?
His tape was cool. Like, he had a lot of really cool tackles for loss. Like, he is smart. So there are some plays where he can diagnose like kind of the play beforehand, make a really nice play. And I think he can make those plays in the NFL, but like, I think you're going to see a lot of missed tackles. I think you're going to see him get washed out of certain games. So I'm just a little concerned about like a full starting role. And I think all 5 guys I named have potential to be starting linebackers, like full time. So I think that's why I dropped him out. And he is my overrated player for that reason.
Yeah, I would have had I taken the liberty of finishing the linebacker category. He would have been my overrated player too. Stutzman I did write down my guy though. Stutzman was my guy earlier, and I know the whole coverage, was concerned about him in coverage, but it is similar to like, it just, if a team doesn't really need him to play coverage, then, he'll just be great at defending the run and being a hard-nosed guy that will get physical at the point of attack. So, Landon Roberts was exactly that. So why can't, a guy like Danny Stutzman, not comparable per se, but if he has a purpose to serve. And
I was about to ask why he can't be Robert Spillane.
Yeah, true.
Like,
true.
Similar size, similar profile, like really good run defender, super smart, like kind of insane. Like I don't see why he can't do it. I agree.
All right. So you gave your, no, you didn't.
What's that?
Underrated. You're underrated.
Underrated is Teddy Buchanan from Cal. He was
Okay.
a former UC Davis guy, transferred into Cal this season. And I'm not going to compare him to Fred Warner at all. I'm not going to do that. But he has a very similar build. Like you see, like that 6'3", like well built, like really athletic. Like I think Teddy Buchanan jumped over 40 inches in the vertical, ran almost a 4.5. It was like a 4.6 something. But he's a really good athlete, super instinctual, really physical. Like I don't see why he's not a starter. Like he has to be a starter. But people have him in like the 220s on their big boards, which is crazy to me. So I think that Buchanan needs to be a lot more well known. So I'm going to start this one now. This is like my new wave.
Yeah, 220. I mean, that's like 6th round, 7th round. So yeah, that's a big wave. That's a big wave. You're going to try to start from all the way in the back. It's like the back of the wave pool we're talking here, and you're trying to kick that first wave up. It's pretty
I know.
Neat. I like it.
It's worked a few times though.
Yeah, you've done this before, so you've been here. You've been here.
I've been here.
I'll follow it. All right, and then you're my guy. Is that Schlesinger? I'm gonna guess
it is. Yeah. I mean, I was on his train a lot for a long time, but I've finally just said like I think he's going to be linebacker 1, and he was 2 behind Campbell for a while. But like after Carson Schlesinger came in as the heaviest linebacker in the combine, and jumped like a 41-inch vertical. I'm like, okay, well, he just answered any questions he had, so yeah. I'm cool with that. Look, like he is already the smartest linebacker in the class. I'm gonna ride this wave till I die.
I like it. All right. Holy shit, time.
I know.
We're almost there. Cornerbacks.
Yep.
We will run through this. So I am interested to see how this list goes for you because I definitely think it varies per perspective. I have Travis Hunter, 1. I have Will Johnson, 2. I have Jahdae Barron, 3. Benjamin Morris, 4. And Siobhan Revel Jr. at 5.
Okay. Mine's pretty similar. And this is the first one I actually have a tie for one of my spots. But I have Hunter 1, Will Johnson 2, Barron 3, Revel 4. And at 5, I have a tie between Benjamin Morrison and Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky. So they're pretty similar lists of all things. I just have Revel higher because I'm not counting his injury in this. And I think his tape is absolutely worthy of like a mid first. But yeah, Morrison is iffy because of his injury and because he kind of already lacked like an elite athletic profile of like a height, weight, speed guy and then got hurt in his hips. That's tricky, but he's sticky. He has good tape, so I'm going to believe in him.
Yeah, pre-injury, that was the word that I saw used a lot when it came to Morrison. He's sticky, and he does a great job, like almost lockdown type stuff to an extent. But that was kind of with Revel, like I won't say the opposite, but size-wise, like that's his big thing is he's got the press man type build to be able to do that. And I do get the sense that teams are starting to kind of want that, and I think that was what Bean and my Bills front office was trying to do with Ford Khair. But like, I think this is becoming a thing, like for teams across the board. Like, I think teams want to be able to run man coverage and then just have their pass rushers get after the guy, get after the quarterback. Like, just cover for 2 or 3 seconds at the start of the route and man, and then let the fucking dogs go after him.
Yeah. But like Revel can do things that most tall, skinny corners can't. He's a really good run defender too, which is like, I don't know if you watch any Darian Porter from Iowa State, the same thing, like 6'4" and a freak athlete, but like he's him as a run defender is like me as a run defender out there. Like we have the same shot of bringing somebody down. It's not good.
Well, that was actually, speaking of the devil, my underrated player. Well, not him specifically, but actually that's skipping the overrated. My overrated player. I don't know. I did want to go with Trey Amos. I feel like with Morrison and Revel, like these guys back here, even Porter, like there's this range of like these tier 2 corners that I don't ever find myself wanting to take Amos over. Like he always falls at the back end of those kind of tier 2 guys. But I feel like consensus is he's at the top of that tier. But I don't know. I wasn't there with that.
I like him, but I do see like he's kind of. You can see a Kyrie Elam in there where you're like, oh, like he has the length and he's really smooth, but like mentally, there's some lapses where you're just like, that would be bad in the NFL. So I do get being a little lower on Trey Amos, but he's not also like a freak athlete either by any means. So yeah, I get that. But are we doing this? I'm just doing overrated first. Yeah, I'll do Az Thomas from Florida State. I don't know how to pronounce his actual name. People just call him Az. He's like super long, and I think that he's in that category for a lot of people of like the Trey Amos category, like the early second. I've seen him mocked to the Bills a ton, and I saw him mocked to the Bills in the first round like a couple months ago when people were going crazy on him. But he's just like so slow. He's just kind of slow and bulky, and I don't like that in a corner. You cannot be slow and bulky as a corner. Like you need to be able to you need to be fluid, and he's not.
Yeah, that was he's a guy I did not look at much, but you're right. He's in that tier, that second tier of guys. And, once again, I kind of glaze over him when looking in that range too, like him and Amos. Like I'm going to the Porters, I'm going to the Morrisons, the Harristons. I feel like Revel and Harrison are equally at the top more so, but still they fit that tier. And I don't ever feel like those other two are really in that conversation for me. My underrated player is somebody that you talked about, and I was fascinated when we talked about him back then, so I looked at him a little bit more. But Jacob Parrish, the short, physical presence out of the slot, and he's everything you described him as. Like he really is this slot defender that kind of does what my beloved Teron Johnson is able to do out of the slot, and that is so. I feel like teams like Buffalo and teams like even your Bengals, like they appreciate, because they're always in nickel, how important that role is. Yeah. And the Bills defense without Teron Johnson is who knows what. The Bengals defense without Mike Hilton, was certainly hurting too. Having that type of player is just so key. And I think Jacob Parrish deserves far more love. Like I think you could put him in that tier 2, maybe pushing it. But he certainly, in my opinion, deserves some recognition for the position he plays.
Yeah, he's my guy in the draft. Like I have him as my corner to slam the table on, and like he tested with like better length than people thought too, like an arm length and wingspan, which does tell you like he is capable of playing outside to a degree too. Like he has that if you need him, and he also was like a monster in the combine, which was not shocking because he is a good athlete, but like. He was a top 5 corner in almost every athletic testing measurement. So I'm like, all right, like I think people are starting to join the Parrish hive now, and I like to see it a lot.
That would be me.
Hell yeah!
That would be
welcome,
big fat ass.
Welcome.
All right, and my guy on that note was Jahdae Barron. I mean, I've fallen in love with Jahdae Barron like these last couple of weeks, just because it's kind of. I feel so differently about versatility for different positions. And I guess depending on the versatility, that's an unnecessary conversation. But he's just a guy I love the idea of being able to put anybody anywhere. I love the idea of having somebody that saves you a roster spot, quote unquote. Like that's 53-man rosters it feels thin. And I would imagine for front offices, it feels even thinner. So, being able to have a guy like that can really play anywhere, and you can put him anywhere, safety, corner, he's played in the slot. Like this guy he can do it all. So I think that I find that really attractive in any position that's not a gadget receiver. So
yeah,
I like
Barron's a beast. And he was athletic too, like freakishly athletic, shockingly at the combine too. And I don't hold that as everything, but like I'm sure some people were like, okay, well he's a nickel guy only, and he's not going to be long or fast enough to play on the outside, but he is. He can do both. And I think he could play safety too if he wanted, if he's a good enough run defender. So like I think that him being my corner 3 is very well warranted.
Yeah, definitely.
I could see him going as high as Miami, 13. Like I could see him going a little higher than that even. Like he's a really good player.
I think it would be bold, but I mean, who knows? Maybe he goes before Johnson. That might be bold.
I mean, scheme fit style. Like some people don't need a big press man corner like Johnson. Like they don't need that big physical corner. Like they need a guy that has slot versatility. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Barron go over him. I mean, I'd be shocked, but I wouldn't be impossible.
For sure, yeah. It's like depending on what a team needs, it's kind of like pick what you need kind of thing, and that would result in that exactly. All right, so final position. We'll get to safeties. Who'd you got?
All right, 1, Malachi Starks. 2, Eman Wari. 3, I got Xavier Watts from Notre Dame. 4, Andrew Makuba from Texas, and 5, Kevin Winston from Penn State.
Winston. The 5 spot is like the wild card, right?
Uh-huh.
My 1 was Malachi. My 2 was Eman Wari. 3 was Watts, and 4 was also Mukaba. I put Billy Bowman at 5 out of Oklahoma. I think he improved as a run defender this year. That was really kind of the big thing for him. But ultimately, nobody that I felt comfortable putting in the 5 spot was in the universe of the top 4 for me.
No, I mean, I like Winston. I think that him being hurt this year hurt his stock a lot.
Yeah.
I remember like his tackle rate from last year was like less than 2%. Like it was actually or missed tackle rate. Like it was ridiculous how sure of a tackler he is, as well as like being built pretty well. He's like 6'2", moves. He's a pretty good athlete. I like Billy Bowman. I probably have Billy Bowman at 6, maybe 7. Like I have him up there, so that's not crazy to me at all. But yeah, the top 4 feels pretty static right now. Like this is gonna be it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, maybe you have Mukaba over Watts. Like I know some people do. Some people have Eman Wari at 4. Maybe, I mean, some people are low on Eman Wari, but
I get it.
That guy can go anywhere. Like talk about anywhere in the draft. He really could. Who is your overrated guy?
Overrated? I don't really think there is one. I don't think people even know the safeties in this class. I think some people have overrated Nicky Manwari to a degree. And that's at having him over Starks and having him as like the pick to the Dolphins at 13. Like that's crazy to me. But like I think where he should be going, like end of the first, athletic guy, toolsy. I love him there. Like I absolutely love him there. So he's the only guy that I feel is even slightly overvalued in any drafts.
Yeah, I almost put Eman Wari there, but I'm like, I love him. So I'm not going to do that. But I went with Mukaba only because of the talk about a wave pool, creating that wave. Theo with his, pushing his agenda. I'm like, I don't see an avenue where this guy's even close to safety 1. I mean, he is. Let me take that back. But I don't think you could justify taking him. You could take him over Watts. Hey, maybe even Eman Wari, but over Starks would be pretty insane.
He's like if Kirby Joseph was just really small, like you know what I mean. Like he has that kind of play style, but he's like small, and I just don't think he can compare to what Starks can do in terms of like responsibility for a defense. Starks is a comfortable one for me. Like I know his production was down, but like how many like safeties do you know are being matched up in one-on-one coverage against Ryan Williams with the game on the line? Like they trusted him to do that, and he got burnt once or twice, but like no one else is doing that. That's why his numbers are down.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. And it's, we've talked about it before. Like prospect fatigue is so real. So real. Quickly, then to finish it off, underrated. I think Watts is losing steam. Like unnecessarily losing steam. And I mean, I get why. I think it's more of a product of other guys gaining.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, this guy covers everything everywhere. And I think he, I wouldn't put Mukaba over him. Like I think that's kind of where this kind of stems from.
I'm cool with that. Yeah.
So
then who's your guy then?
My guy, I fell in love with. I mean, this guy's not even going to get drafted, but I loved his name, so I started watching a little bit of him. Ricky Wright from Vanderbilt. Like we're talking, like I just saw his name and I started to watch him. But I mean, that's a reach. I also Dan Jackson out of Georgia though was probably more of kind of my serious answer. But there were a couple names. I mean, Malachi Moore, Alabama. I know he's, more at the higher portion of the list, but. Once again, I wasn't attached. I'm attached to Eman Wari. Holy shit. I just had a complete Eman Wari, of course, is my guy.
Bill.
Yes. Take that back.
I understand that. He's a great player. Dude. I've been the safeties were the last position group I got to overall, but underrated is Katan Crawford from Nevada. Like this dude is one of the bounciest, freakiest athletes in the draft. Like he's kind of dumb sometimes. Like he's not always in the right spot, but like he's so freakishly athletic that like I feel like if a better DB coach than the one at Nevada they got a hold of him, he actually might become something like really good.
Yeah.
And then my guy, the best run defending safety in the class, Lathan Ransom from Ohio State. Like he's partially the reason why they were so good this year is how good his run defense is. Like it's stupid.
Yeah, he's probably safety 7 in most cases.
I think
there.
I am at 6. I think I am at 6 officially. Yeah.
Yeah, 6, 7 in that range. But I think you could easily put him at 5 too. Like I think he's in that range of the wild card 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going on an hour 40. So I hope we put a healthy podcast to your ears. We had a good, I mean, it was good, strong effort. So it's not like I don't think it was an hour 40 of jibber jabber. So I'm very happy I was very happy with the product. I know sometimes the length is something we worry about, but I'm going to stop yapping and explain the length. So if you enjoyed, as always, feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment, leave any of your thoughts down in the description. Make sure you're checking out all of the Against the Blitz socials on TikTok, Instagram, etc. down in the description. Our individual socials are down in the description as well. And we will see you in the Big 20, the Big 20, getting old so fast.